All right, Mark, why don't you recap this finale to this goblin story that's been, I guess, going the entire Wells run.
We open on a bloody goblin hand, and Spider-Man is trash-talking a spear-impaled Norman Osborn. Spidey slowly reveals that the Sins have a new home inside of our hero. Norman is telling the Sins to get out of Peter, as if it's that easy. I mean, seriously, what are the Sins? The symbiote now? They don't actually want us to believe that, do they? While I continue to tisk incredulously, we flash over to the B-Squad, and the only one trying to do anything of even the most tiny narrative value, of course, is the most valuable ancillary character of all time, longtime Amazing Spider-Man supporting cast member Miss Marvel. Kurt Connors asks REK-RAP how he's doing after getting stabbed in the heart by the Goblin Glider, and he seems okay, but he's absolutely not sure. Same, REK-RAP, same. Krayju is standing there grabbing people by the throat, and this all seems totally normal. Back to the goblin fight, and Peter continues to taunt Norman, who is definitely back to being friendly happy Norman. Norman thinks fast and stabs Spider-Man with the spear and captures the Sins, because of course. But Spider-Man is overcome by those dreaded brain cramps from the Winkler device. Hey. So he grabs the spear back, and the Sins fly back into Norman. Wait, what? These things are airborne now? What is this, like COVID-19? What is happening here? As a result, Norman goes totally crazy, starts to fight Peter, but the Sins are screaming that they want Peter, so off they go, over to Peter, and now he's looking all crazy, and the Sins are just projectile vomiting out of everyone's chest like they're an alien bursting out of John Hurt, and that's now a reference I can legally make, and Dan knows why. In the midst of the melee, Peter finds himself lying next to the living Brains head, who starts doing the whole floating heads of guilt shtick while offering advice. Can't you see I'm kind of busy here, Peter is thinking? I'll admit, by this point, I'm definitely losing track of who has the Sins. But fortunately, Norman slaps is it the Winkler device helmet or the living Brains helmet? He drops a helmet on Peter, which brings us inside the Mindscape, where Peter is going to fight the Sins of the Goblin on the astral level. Where have I seen this before? The Living Brain narrates this battle, which fortunately leads to a beautiful double-page spread that relives some of Peter's greatest failures, coupled with a narration that discusses how despite Peter's shortcomings, he always rises to the occasion in making the choice to learn and do right. That brings us to another double spread of Spider-Man leaping through the Sins like they're John Hurt lying on a table in Alien. And no, I don't know if watching Alien for the first time as a 42-year-old 2 weeks ago entitles me to make 2 references in the span of a few minutes, but who is gonna stop me? No one. So the Sins cry out in agony and dissolve because, yes, that's what they do now. And it looks like Miss Marvel took out Krayju off panel, which is also where most of her escapades supporting Spider-Man happen anyway, so why go off-brand here? Jonah and Doug seem pretty high from Craven's drugs, and then Peter and Norman emerge from the bunker, not quite friends, but not quite enemies either. Norman suggests maybe someday, they might even be friends, and Peter tells him maybe, and I guess the last 53 issues of the story didn't happen, and that's where we end things. Could this be the end of the Goblin for good? Honestly, with how inconsistent the rules around the Sins have been written, I expect them to magic their way back in an issue or two. And there you have it, folks. Woo!